In our R4 notes, we are going to be adding and subtracting polynomials. So adding and subtracting polynomials, we are combining like terms. We talked about like terms before when we had radicals. Again, in order to add or subtract polynomials, they have to be like terms. So ignoring the coefficient, the term must be identical. So the variable part has to be the same. If I had 4x squared and 6x squared, we ignore the coefficient, the rest of it has to be the same. So that x squared and x squared would make these like terms. If I had 4x and 4x to the third power, because the variable parts are different, these are not like terms. So we can add like terms, we cannot add terms that are not like. So for the first three examples, we are going to be adding. So we want to start with our like terms. I can ignore the parentheses here and just add my like terms together. So I add the coefficients, the variable part stays the same. So 4 minus 7 would be -3, and then that y just stays there. So because these both have y, they're like terms, I can add them. Same thing with the numbers here. I have 3 plus 9, so that would be plus 12. And this would be my answer. We can't add -3y and 12 together because they are not like terms. One of them has a y, the other one does not, so we can't combine them. So we just leave our answer like this. Looking at number 2. So I want to add my like terms together. So I have 2x and 5x. So I add the coefficients. 2 plus 5 would be 7, and then the x just stays there. So the variable part stays the same. And then for my constants, I have -3 and -7, so this would be -10. And again, can't combine these together now, so our answer is just 7x minus 10. They are not like terms, we leave them separated in our answer. For number 3, I have 5y squared and 4y squared. These are both y squared, so they are like terms. So I add the coefficients, so this would be 9y squared. Right, next with the y's, this is 3y and -2y. Because they're just y's, I just add the coefficients and I can combine them together. So 3 minus 2 would be 1, so it's just 1y. We don't write the coefficient if it's a 1, so it's just y. And then lastly, we have our constants, so -2 plus 1 would be -1. So our answer is 9y squared plus y minus 1. Now we can't combine any of these three together because they're not like terms. One's y squared, the other one's y, the other one doesn't even have a y. So this would be our answer. All right, so next we have subtraction. Now subtraction's a little bit different. Because I have this minus sign, it has to get distributed to everything in the parentheses behind it. So this is now minus 2x and minus 4. So 3x plus 8. The first part stays the same, but that minus has to get distributed to both things behind it. All right, next we want to combine our like terms. So I have 3x and -2x. So we add the coefficients are in here. We are subtracting the coefficients. So 3 minus 2 would be 1. But when our coefficient's 1, we don't write it in front of the x. We just put an x. Now with the constant parts, I have plus 8 minus 4. So 8 minus 4 would be 4. So x plus 4 is our answer. For number 5, again, we are subtracting, so we want to distribute that minus sign to everything behind it. So 5z minus 7 stays the same. But now we're distributing that negative to things that are already negative, so it makes it a positive. So when you have two negatives, it turns to a plus 4x and plus 3. So we change both of these signs to become plus signs. Now we combine our like terms. So I have 5z and 4x. Those are not like, so we can't add them. So our only like terms would be -7 and 3. So this, I'm going to start with my x. So I have 4x plus 5z. And then -7 plus 3 would be -4. This would be our answer. So again, x and z, not like terms. They are different variables, so I cannot add them together. Okay, next for number 6, again, when we are subtracting, you have to distribute that negative to everything behind it. So this becomes -x squared plus 2x and -1. So the first part stays the same, 2x squared plus 1, and the signs for everything after that are going to change. So -x squared plus 2x minus 1. So combine my like terms. I have 2x squared minus x squared. So 2 minus 1 would just be 1x squared. When our coefficient is 1, we don't write the coefficient of 1. Next, we have just 2x, so I'm going to say plus 2x. And then we have 1 minus 1. So 1 minus 1 would actually be 0, so they cancel each other out. So we don't even need to write it in our answer. We wouldn't put plus 0 in your answer. So our answer is just x squared plus 2x. So we can't combine these. X squared and x are two different terms. They are not like terms, so we can't add those two together. So those three were our subtraction examples. Okay, lastly, we have 3 more. A little bit more complicated than the ones before, but nothing we can't handle. So for the first one, we're adding. When we add, we ignore the parentheses. We don't need them. They don't mean anything to us. So I have -3m squared and 4m squared. So these are my like terms here because they both have that m squared part. So -3 plus 4 would be 1m squared. And again, we don't write the coefficient if it's 1. Next, I have m plus 6m. So when we don't have a number out front, it's implied that that's 1m. So 1 plus 6 would be 7m. So our answer is m squared plus 7m. For number 8, I'm going to start with my highest degree, which is 7x cubed. So I start with the 7x cubed. Then I'm going to go to my squared term. So that would be 2x squared. I don't have anything to combine with those, no other like terms, so we just write those down. Then I have plus 4x minus 5x. So 4 minus 5 would be -1. So this is -1x, but when our coefficient's 1, we don't write it. And then lastly, I have -1 plus 2. So -1 plus 2 would be 1. And that would be our answer. So because I have an x cubed, x squared, just an x, and a constant, these are not like terms, can't combine them. We leave our answer like this. All right, next for number 9, we're going to start by distributing the negative. So whenever we subtract, we have to remember to distribute the negative, and it changes the sign of each term behind it. So this is now a -a squared, a plus 3a, and a -7. So I'm going to rewrite it before I combine my like terms. So 3a squared plus 2a minus 2. The first parenthesis stays the same. The ones after are the ones that change the sign. So -a squared plus 3a minus 7. And now we can combine our like terms. So I have 3a squared minus a squared. So this is implied that there's a 1 in front of it. So 3 minus 1 would be 2a squared. Next we have 2a plus 3a, so this would be 5a. And then lastly I have negative 2 minus 7. So when you have two negative numbers, you add them together and keep it negative, so negative 9. So there are the 3 questions from the last page. So don't forget to turn in the notes by the end of class as your classwork assignment, and after you turn in the notes, you guys can start working on the homework.